Welcome back, everyone. This is Nate from Nate's Here and There. I'm coming to you live from West Side Cemetery here in Lancaster, South Carolina. So I thought I'd walk through and see some of the old graves, see the military if they have any. So grab a chair on this day the Lord has made. Sit back and enjoy. The first one I come up to is Nanny Crenshaw, 1874 to 1946. John Baxter, 1870 to 1909. And look at this one. It only says Sophia Crawford, 1897, and that's it. That's all it has. It don't have a death. This has a birth. Which really, I don't know if that's a birth or her death. So that's kind of weird. And here's Nancy Wilson, 1903 to 1985. Bessie F. Wilson, 1907 to 1992. Thomas P. Wilson, 1906 to 1969. Ruth E. Wilson, 1899 to 1982. And here's a headstone of John F. Stogner, 1895 to 1979. W.P. Stogner, 1860 to 1921. There's Mary L. Stogner, 1860 to 1941. Effie Louise Stogner, 1892 to 1983. And here is our first military, Jack R. Beckham, 1917 to 1944. Private First Class, U.S. Army. Let me zoom it in so you can see it. Killed in the action in France. Thank you for your service. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that at the very end, I will leave there will be a tribute to all the soldiers, all the military. If there's any nurses, doctors, truck drivers, anything like that, I find out here, there will be a tribute at the very end of the video. Here's Pearl Lathan Sestar, 1882 to 1958. Edward Wilson Sestar, 1878 to 1939. You know what? That is a unique middle name, Wilson. Because you always see a Wilson name at the very end, like a last name, not a middle name. And here's Edward Lathan Sestar, 1902 to 1936. Catherine Sestar Boyd, 1905 to, I'm sorry, but I cannot read her death. And here's John Thomas Wiley, 1887 to 1932. Allie Chambers Wiley, 1884 to 1957. And here's William J.P. Barton, 1881 to 1939. And R. Milton Barton, 1917 to 1934. It says at rest. And here's May Etta Stewart Barton, 1884 to 1955. John W. Stewart, 1884 to 1914. Oh, that's a son of Shannon B. Stewart. I guess this is their son, Shannon B. Stewart. 1914. Oh, he was only a couple months old. That's sad. Here's Cora G. Garvin, sorry. 1872 to 1956. We got some more over here. And Belle Johnson Nance, 1858 to 1936. That's pretty cool how that stands out. Those letters stand out. And here's Molly Johnson Perry, 1860 to 1937. That's a big headstone right there. And here's the headstone of McCrae Thompson Ezell, 1916 to 2003. Rebecca McManus Ezell, 1915 to 2002. Here's the headstone of R.J. Blackman, 1873 to 1950. Peach M. This is R.J.'s wife, 1872 to 1915. And Martha Blackman, 1856 to 1906. Good long life. It's the headstone of Margaret L. Belcom, 1928 and 1931. A couple years old. That's sad. And here is Abigail Hutto, 1882 to 1934. George Hutto, 1905 and 1933. And here's W.T. Belcom, 1906 to 1930. And here's a little baby beside of him. If it don't have his, I can't really read anything on it. And here's a military. It's Belcom Sr. I can't really read anything. He was in the Army, but I cannot read his death or his burial. But thank you for your service. Here's Norman Pittman, 1937 to 2001. Oldest son. That's what it says. Here is Ruby Pittman, 1918 to 1991. Here's Bobby G. Pittman, SP4, U.S. Army, 1940 to 2012. Loving called Teapot. Thank you for your service. And here's Edgar Payseur, 1889 to 1929. 1889 to 1929, that's right. I thought I messed up. Here's G.F. Pursor, Sr., 1858 to 1939. And I can't really read this one. This is the wife, 1860 to 1912. I can't really read her name. Here's George F. Payseur, Mech Field Artillery, World War I, 1896 to 1955. Thank you for your service. Now, I'd say this. If you see me on a military headstone and I am on it for a while, if you haven't seen any of my videos, I am paying tribute. That's like kind of like a moment of silence for the soldier. So please don't click off. That's what I'm really doing. I'm doing a moment of silence. Here's John Little Barton, Private, CO1, 12 South Carolina Infantry, CA, 1847 to 1922. I think it's the oldest one I found so far. Thank you for your service. And here's the crypt of John Alexander Steuman, Judge, J.E. Carolyn, Denton Steuman. That's the son of the judge, 1874 to 1941. Here's another crypt right here. Raritt Williamson Lee, 1876 and 1967, the wife of Alexander Steuman. This is his wife. This is the daughter of William States Lee and Jenny Lee Williamson. And here's the headstone of Beatrice A. Steele, 1881 and 1918. Now you probably can't see it because it's so worn, but I can. I'm just telling you. Here's Ivy H. Carlton, 1904 to 1987. There's Tracy H. Carlton, 1906 and 1953. Here's Kathy L. Revel, wife of Thomas Revel, 1899 to 1975. And here is Thomas Revel, 1886 to 1958. Good long life. Now look at this name right here. I know the Lucy Fish Moore, 1893 to 1973. Paul Ross Moore, 1885 to 1947. What I was meaning was, you don't never see names Fish. I've never heard that. That's unique right there. And here is Blanchard Moore, Paul, 1884 to 1950. Sampson Paul, 1881 to 1974. And here's Anita Moore, wife of B.F. Rollinson, daughter of Alfred and Jane McClenny Moore, 1832 to 1914. Here's Lee Ward Taylor, 1906 to 1983. Allie Fail Taylor, 1906 to 2004. That one right there is kind of awkward to say, because if you put it together, it's Leeward, but it's his middle name. here's Hattie Bell Baker, 1882 to 1975. Mother, this is the mother. Katie K. Baker, 1880 to 1963. This is the father. Joe K. Baker, 1887 to 1963. Here's Sammy Clifford Watts, SP4 U.S. Army, 1952 to 2007. Thank you for your service. Here's Sammy Lee Watts, Private First Class U.S. Army, World War II, 1927 to 2001. Thank you for your service. And here's Dolores B. Watts, beloved wife and mother, 1931 to 2012. This is Sammy Lee's wife. Thank you for your service. And I was going to show you this. This one they was married. It was married on October the 2nd, 1948. Here's George Albert Blanton, U.S. Army, Korea, 1929 to 2000. And thank you for your service. And here's James Harry Moorfield, U.S. Marine Corps, Korea, 1932 to 1996. Thank you for your service. Here's Bobby Louise Baker, Private First Class U.S. Army, Korea, 1932 to 1982. Thank you for your service. Here's James G. Rodney, Jr., U.S. Army, 1934 to 1999. Thank you for your service. And here's C.D. Pate, Private, U.S. Army, World War II, 1926 to 1980. Thank you for your service. Here's Thomas B. Carnes, 1927 and 1975. He was in the U.S. Navy. Thank you for your service. And here's Nathan W. Melton, South Carolina, Private First Class, U.S. Army, World War II, 1922 to 1974. Thank you for your service. Here is Charles Lindsey King, Jr., U.S. or A1C, U.S. Air Force, Korea, 1934 to 1998. Thank you for your service. And here's Charles Lindsey King, 1913 to 1965. First Lieutenant, 105 Infantry, 27th Division. Thank you for your service. And this is Harvey Daly Eglinton, 1910 and 1965. Company G 330 330th Infantry, Purple Heart, 1944 Normandy. Thank you for your service. This is Robert Lewis Neal, Private, U.S. Army, World War II, 1923 to 1980. Thank you for your service. Here's Ben Threet Sr., 1885 to 1958. And Janet P. Threet, 1883 to 1960. And Ernest Griffin Jordan, 1881 to 1955. Norma Carlton Jordan Smith, 1899 and 2000. Here's Judson McManus, 1884 to 1929. Ellen Carnes McManus, 1880 to 1958. Henry M. Thomas, 1909 to 1958. Mary Hams Thomas, 1905 to 2002. And Jesse R. Hams, 1908 to 1929. Here's Robert J. Gent, 1886 to 1960. Hattie T. Gent, 1886, born the same year, 1952. Here's Augusta Gent, 1859 to 1935. Robert Gent, 1863 to 1928. And here's Claude Leslie Baker, 1907 to 1986. I love the headstone. I love the rose right here. I love that. Here's Louis J. Arnett, 1895 to 1931. Gone but not forgotten. Here's Matthew Stevens, son of Nevy and Betty Davis, 1971. Here's Pauline Dees, 1909 and 1992. Haskell Vander Dees, 1910 and 1983. And here is Ira McManus, 1873 to 1947. Hattie A. McManus, 1877 to 1950. And this is WW Red. That's what it says. I'll zoom it in. Swink. 1906 and 1980. Virginia D. Swink. 1909 and 1981. Here's Millie Naomi Bradley, 1893 to 1956. And here is Daisy Bradley, 1887 to 1974. W.W. Bradley, 1880 to 1934. I like the pot where you put your flowers. I always like those. And that's going to be it for this one. I walked around we walked around I took you along with me, the West Side Cemetery here in Lancaster, South Carolina. But I'll tell you this, I didn't even hit a third of it. This thing is huge. But what I'm going to do is I have a Patreon account. My Patreon is in the description of my channel. And if you want to be a member, consider subscribing to my Patreon page. What I'm going to do with that, though, is if you are a member of my Patreon, I will take requests to see these. Like this cemetery, this thing is so big it has to be 4 or 5 parts. Like the one in Monroe, Suncrest, I hadn't even made it back up there yet. But I will take requests from my Patreon page. So if you wouldn't mind, go subscribe to or join my Patreon. It helps out the channel. With all that said, be safe, God bless, and we'll catch you on the next one. And remember to let go and let God. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit your bell to notify you when I upload videos just like this one. If you want to support the channel also, I'll leave my PayPal and my Cash App is in the description of my channel. So be safe, God bless, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye now.